Evening, everyone. Evening. Jesus, don't want that. Evening, morning. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Morning, Timo. Morning for you. Evening for me. Evening, Mark. Yeah, welcome, everyone. Wonk donk, welcome. Good to see you. Yes, who's ready for a P3 green flag? So guys can get out there now. It's the Rugby World Cup final tonight. Yeah, I have no interest now. England aren't in it. Hey Jordan, hope you're doing well, buddy. Remember that pre-season league race I had? What started P12, finished P15, and my connection was shit. Ah, that's a shame, mate. That's a shame. How was your driving though? That's the thing. That's the different. That's the important thing. Did you feel comfortable? Hopefully, it settled some of the nerves. A Welshman couldn't care less about England, and an Englishman couldn't care less about New Zealand and South Africa. Had the PC for 2 weeks, loving it. Oh, good man, Jasper. Good man. Are you, what have you been playing? Assetto Corsa? No one out on track, funny enough, yet, guys. As we say that, Bottas decides to get out on track for us. Good man, good man. Why is my oh, God. Why is chat box upside down? That's never good, is it? There we go. Not got. You've been playing it. Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. Yeah, as long as you're enjoying it, that's what matters. Like, iRacing can kind of be the end goal for you. Once you do go to iRacing, you'll never go. Well, you will go back to other sims, but you'll never like the online competitiveness that it provides. It's just there's nothing quite like it out there. So. Who's winning the Rugby World Cup? It doesn't start yet. There's a Mamma Mia show on. But the missus is watching. But yeah, hope everyone's had a good Saturday or is about to have a good Saturday. I missed the practice sessions yesterday for the Mexico GP. I did see Max was P1 and Albono was P2 in practice 1. And then I didn't see what the results were for P2. I assume Max was first again. Let's have a look. He was fastest just from Lando, then Charles, and then Valtteri Bottas of all people. So Lewis and George Russell a little bit further back. Obviously the first session was full of rookies. So, apart from Max, a lot of it isn't really too relative, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. Is the race tomorrow 8 or 7? 8 o'clock UK time. 8 p.m. And then we have qualifying tonight at 10 o'clock on the hour. UK time. So, another evening race and kind of session for us. And then it's Brazil next week, which I think is more of the same, actually. And then we head to Brazil, then to Vegas, and then to Abu Dhabi. So not many races remaining. Driving was the additional fuel that needed for the first stint meant the car was heavy and the rear loss in turn 4 for a mandatory pit stop required fuel tyres. Yeah, that's what I always recommend, Timo, is when you're practicing for these league sessions, is just to practice with like the car, the car at its heaviest, because that's where most people aren't going to practice. There'll be most incidents, and if you can be quick or at least comfortable in that first stint when the car is at its worst, then it only sets you up for being more comfortable as the race goes on. And then of course practice your quali laps as well with obviously no amount of fuel. I don't really do a lot of like low fuel runs. I normally just do either quali or practice from full fuel because that's where the car feels worst. Yeah, time zones down the side. Yeah. So at the moment, we only have the 2 Ferraris on there out on softs: Alonso, Stroll, and Bottas. I think the didn't the Aston Martin have some issues again? Where am I looking? Lance Stroll. Oh no, maybe not then. Yeah, it was Teo Porcher who got no running in his one and only session. Literally got no laps in because the Alfa Romeo was just... Oh no, he got 4 laps in, but the Alfa Romeo was absolutely dog. So that's why he didn't run any laps. Federic Vesti, Jack Doohan, Isaac Hadjar. But yeah, I don't really know what to expect from this race, to be honest with you. Last year, of course, Mercedes were kind of pole prime position to get the win. And then Red Bull... Red Bull realised something with the tyres. Mercedes just were in between doing, once again, something with their strategy, if I remember rightly. So we'll see. But interestingly enough, there's been 11 different pole sitters at this circuit. The last 11 times we've been at this track. So, yeah, that's an interesting stat, to say the least. Now, CFA actually doing something about environment and not going from, say, Vegas to Suzuka to Sao Paulo to Australia. Well, you say that. We're still going from Vegas to... There's still been a lot of chopping and changing this year in regards to flights, going from one side of the world to the other. I think they went from Baku to Miami in 1 week. Like, that was ridiculous. That's like the whole... That's like almost... That's the furthest travel I think they do, other than going from the UK to Australia. And then they're still going from Vegas down... They're still going from Vegas all the way over to Abu Dhabi, like the following week or whatever it is, so... Ran the same tyres for the whole race. Yeah, most likely in a 60-minute race you won't need to change tyres. It's just all about managing the fuel. Whether you want to run high fuel at the start or low fuel, it's up to you. With races like that. But I wonder what teams are going to do. We only have 50 minutes remaining, and we only have the Ferraris out there. It's quite a hot track temperature, 42.9. Looks like Lando's going to be coming out on the soft tyre. So I assume we'll see some quali runs. This is really where the teams will be doing some quali runs. Obviously, it's the session that's closest to qualifying, only a few hours. So, yeah, let's see some short runs. Let's see what the qualifying times, if there's any qualifying runs. So, qualifying for last year, let's have a look exactly what that was. I'm intrigued to see what that was last year so we can get some relative times to look out for. No, to be honest, Marlin, they've just nailed it. They've just nailed it, and the other teams have just got it all wrong. It generally is the case whenever there's a new regulation set. I mean, they do have the brain of... They have the brain of course, Adrian Newey. Obviously, some other smart people there as well. And then when you put a car like that in the hands of a driver like Max, whatever your opinions of him are, you can't deny that we see the results that we've seen. So it was similar when Mercedes did it as well. And obviously we saw the same results with Lewis. It's just a shame that he's been so dominant in all that package, Max and the Red Bull and the team as well, because they've been faultless with their pit stops and their strategy. That package as a whole has just been brilliant. Right, I'm trying to look at the Mexico Grand Prix. Mexico. Then if we look at P3 last year, the fastest lap in P3 last year was a 1:18.3. And then qualifying, fastest lap in qualifying, so Q3 was a 1:17.7 by Max and a 1:18.0 by George and Lewis. So you're looking at like low 118s really for these guys doing their quali runs. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to use a bit of go-kart for your birthday. Oh, nice one. Nice to have some friends to go with, mate. Yeah, I ain't been karting. Well, last time I went karting was a few months ago, and I got my arse handed to me. So I was racing against like people who actually know what they're doing with karting. When I go on work days, I'm normally the fastest. This time around, I was the slowest, which was very demoralising. Imagine what it'd be if Ferrari instead of the Red Bull. It seems that Monza would be wild. Yeah. I think next year, I mean, I think everyone's hoping for next year, of course, the gap is closer. It's kind of like the gap that is being closed at the moment is not really relative to next year, really, because Red Bull they've stopped bringing upgrades. They've stopped developing this year's car. So it's only natural that teams that are developing this year's car still to obviously gather data for next year are closing that gap. The likes of Mercedes, the likes of McLaren, even Ferrari with their qualifying pace. Race pace is still to be looked at for them, obviously with their tyres, but they've looked strong in some races as well at some circuits. So that gap was naturally going to close. However, Red Bull have just given up on this year already in regards to development now. The car's done what it's needed to do. It's won them the Drivers' Championship. It's won them the Constructors' Championship. So why would they need to put more resource? They can focus on this year's car. Unless there was something they specifically wanted to gather real-world data for. They're already focusing on next year. So... But I do expect the teams to be faster next year. I just hope they're fast enough, man. I just hope they're fast enough out of the blocks. 3 races a day, and I haven't raced an indoor track since July. Oh, nice one. Let me guess. Indoor track had a little bridge that you go over. All indoor tracks do, don't they? 1:18.6 from George. So we said the fastest practice free session last year was a 1:18.3. So there's only 3 temps off. Track is very hot at the moment, so it will take a lot out of the tyres. Piastri and Norris, of course, we don't know what fuel they're running. We don't know if they're running a bit more fuel to try and hide some pace. I don't know. Of course, Red Bull definitely the fastest, definitely the ones to beat once again here, particularly Max. Would be cool to see Perez win though. Oh, it's a double yellow. There's a double yellow and Gasly has stopped. Has he spun? This is just as he's entering the stadium section. He's going very slow. Has he got an issue? Not good for the Alpines once again, where reliability has been very poor for them this year. I tell you what, he's going very, very slow. I think he's trying to just crawl this back to the pit lane. Because he's coming around the last corner now. Did he spin? Did he lose it? I'm trying to watch the TV coverage to catch up to see exactly what Gasly's done. Oh, car Gasly spun and continued at turn 12. That's new. That's new from our updates there, which is interesting. So we actually now get an update of whether or not he spun or whether or not if it was mechanical failure. So just watching it come up now. So TV coverage has caught up. Are they going to show Gasly spin off? No, guess not. Yeah, he did spin. How did he spin? Come on. Here we go. Oh, yeah, a little spin. Went deep into the corner as you enter the stadium. and then got on the curb and just lost the rear. So, interesting. So Hamilton's actually come back in and put on the new set of tyres, soft tyres, some older soft tyres. So, done 1 lap already. Nearly 6 tenths slower than Jules, so probably a difference there in regards to fuel. But still yet to see the Red Bulls out there. Albon, who's been a rocket ship yesterday. Let's see how Danny Rick gets on as well. Back in the car again for this week. Eyeing up Perez's seat. Shockingly, it doesn't. It's entirely flat. That's not too bad, though. That's not too bad. That's proper karting. I hate it when there's like a bridge. I feel like it's gimmicky. Did anyone see the Super Formula crash earlier at Suzuka? Jesus, they crashed through 130R. And the guy basically, if anyone, people don't know, obviously, like Suzuka is pretty much a figure 8 circuit. So 130R is like a bridge. It goes over the over like the Degnas. Let me see if I can find it for you on Twitter. And he went basically, one of the guys went flying over the bridge. Crazy, really. It was red flagged. Let's have a look. Here we are.
That is a big one. That is a big one. That's the worst kind of accident you're ever going to see at 130R.
EVGA Sasahara was the other car involved in that. Wow.
So let's see who it was that went through. Oh, now this is a moment on the inside from Rensata. Oh my goodness. That is a big one. That is a big one. That's the worst kind of accident you're ever going to see at 130R.
Over there. So he flipped over and then ended up down here. Like, he's okay. He's absolutely fine. But you can see here, like, that's the... But that there, that's the chassis, like, that's the core of any car. Apparently he's got, like, a slight concussion. But is there any... Look at that, look, that's what's left of the car. Jesus, that's the cell. They call that the cell. And that's just... absolutely phenomenal that he's been able to get away from that. Is there like, I want to see if I can show anyone. Is this from his perspective? Bit grainy footage. Oh, it ends there. It ends there. But yeah, he's okay. He's okay. But a very, very scary crash for him. Jesus, man. Absolutely, yeah. Motor racing, it is dangerous. So Max might end up going to a different sort of racing because he's starting to find it boring. And there's only a certain amount of wins until Max thinks that's enough. Yes, I mean, he's given a lot of... He's definitely not scared of telling people what he's happy with and what he isn't. He's still not a fan of the sprint race. He said again this weekend with obviously the disqualifications last week. He said that it's rumoured that even more cars would have failed that test, but they were fortunate enough not to be tested. So the fact of that's occurred, he said, is due to the fact of that we only have one session to lock in the setup. So we have to lock in a setup for sprint, which is a lower fuel. So evidently that would give off a higher ride height in the sprint race. And then of course, if they've set up the car in a specific way, you put more fuel in, obviously that lowers the ride height. So yeah, Kota being a bumpy circuit, that's resulted in the fact of these cars failing by fractions. Obviously they still failed, but fractions of fractions under, sorry, the limit. But yeah, If you're under that, no matter by how much you failed, you failed. But yeah, he's obviously had a go at the sprint races. He wants a challenge. Yeah, of course he does. Of course he wants a challenge. I mean, his first world title was won in the most like drama-filled way. That whole season was drama. He went toe-to-toe with one of the best, if not best, F1 drivers ever. And to then have 2 years in a row where he's had no challenge is just... I mean, the second year was probably okay for him because it's like, I want that second one under my belt. It's probably quite nice to have a stress-free championship. Then the third year, it's like, oh, really? Is it more of the same? Like, is no one going to challenge me? Like, not even his teammate? So, yeah, he obviously... These drivers want to get a buzz. They want to get a buzz from driving an F1 car, but it becomes a point where it's like, well, I do want to just have someone to fight. I know what that's like in sim racing, of course. I haven't been in that situation a lot, but I always want to have a fight, even if it's for the win or for whatever position it is. If I'm just racing around on my own, it gets boring. Like it does. It just gets a bit boring. And I can see that even from an F1 perspective. Because it's all relative. Like, Max has been in F1 for years. So... Oh, Piastri saying the ride and rear grip feels pretty terrible. Struggling again in that McLaren. Wasn't happy with the setup last week at Kota as well. But people will say, oh, well, Lewis never said this as well. And Lewis has been quoted plenty of times throughout his dominating period, where he won 6 championships with Mercedes. He's been quoted a number of times saying he really hopes that like the other teams can catch up and that he has a fight and things like that. Like he wants there to be more than just fighting against his teammate, because that's what they get a buzz from. And that's what people look back on in regards to memorable races and championships. Ferrari fan, they come back in F1, be competitive. Obviously, you're happy. Yes, yeah. I mean, I think we're starting to see some of the differences in regards to what Fred Vasseur has made to Binotto. That in F1, changes take time because of gardening leave. And you don't get instant turnarounds, especially nowadays with the cost cap as well. They can't just throw endless amounts of money at cars anymore or races to just change, like to just basically bring a brand new car the next race. So that's why it's taken longer for people to close the gap to Red Bull than it would have done in any other era. As Max goes second with a 1:18.7. Interesting. But yeah, I've been watching F1 since... Oh, how long have I been watching F1 for? I'd say properly I've been watching F1 for... since I was a teenager. So probably since I was about 13, 14. But I first started watching F1 when my granddad introduced me to it when I was 6, 7, I think it was. I remember the years of watching Mika Hakkinen against Michael Schumacher. Damon Hill, caught the end of Damon Hill's career. David Coulthard in the McLaren. So yeah, I do remember watching those, listening to Murray Walker. But I really kind of got into F1, like looking a bit more in depth into it, what happens behind the scenes, looking at a bit more of the tech side of things, probably in the last 10 years, I'd say. Before then, I was always kind of just like a casual fan. But yeah, no, I love it. I love motorsport, and I try to watch more motorsport if I can. But yeah, F1 around football and golf. They're my sports. So. Ricciardo and Magnussen are the only two not to set a lap time at the moment. Zhou has set a very slow lap time, 2.5 seconds slower than that of Russell. Of course, different strategies being run out here, different practice runs. So, of course, we have Bottas and Zhou on the hard tyre, so they'll be running more of a longer stints to get some longer run data. Then, of course, we have the likes of Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc running some more quali-like simulations. with the qualifying session next to come up in a few hours' time, which we'll also be here for, guys. So be sure to tune back in for that. And yes, Piastri moaning about his setup, so he's coming in pitted. Alonso's already used 3 sets of tyres. He's done 1 lap on the mediums and 1 lap on the hards, which is interesting. Not entirely sure what the benefit there of scrubbing those tyres off is, to be honest with you there. But Sainz is already on his 4th set of soft tyres for this session. So has he just been trying to do some quali runs? That's a bit interesting. Him being on 4, using 4 sets of softs. Bit odd, bit odd. You're born in 04. Oh my God, that makes me feel old. Born in 04. Jesus. I mean, you're still 19, but 2004. Wow. Officially started in 2016, 2018. You watched a 08-10 season when you was young. Well, yeah, you was young. You was 4 or 5 years old. Jesus. 2008, I was leaving secondary school. Sounds like F1 might, and I'm saying it might be better if it was like, I think IndyCar, everyone having a similar car, but it's the fact. There has always been an argument for that. There always has been, but F1 is the peak of engineering. It is. It's the pinnacle of motorsport. It's the pinnacle of engineering. It's one team always gets it right. Whenever you look back in history and you look at changes in regulations, one team has always got it right. Whether that be Williams, whether that be Ferrari, whether that be Mercedes, whether that be like BAR for 1 year, whether that be Red Bull. It's a pattern. It happens. However, the reason why it's been so dominant the last couple of years and why it's taken so long for teams to catch up is because of, not because they're not capable, but because they're limited on how much money they can spend. They have to be very focused with their development. And the likes of Mercedes, they stuck with, so let's use Mercedes as an example because they were the dominant team beforehand. And they are the team you could arguably say got it most wrong with their no side pods and the way it all interacts with their suspension as well, because it's not just the no side pod concept. But they stuck with the same concept from last year, making sure that thinking that they could make it work. And it turned out very quickly after 2 races, no, that's not the case. And they've almost had to write this year off from the get-go because they couldn't then just completely bring a new car. Like apparently the chassis and the core of the car is not based around the full side pod concept now and the new suspension. Like it's all kind of a bit of a DIY job, to be honest. They've tried to just make it work. So next year, from reports, they've got a car that is specifically designed to their new concept. So whereas in the past, Ferrari and Mercedes were spending 400 to 500 million pound a year, and they could bring a brand new car next week if they wanted to. Whereas they can't do that now. So yeah, that's why the gap has stayed so big for so long. Because Red Bull have got it so right, and the other teams, it's taken them longer to figure out how to figure out what Red Bull are doing right, and also they have to be strategic with when they bring their upgrades and how they spend their money. Ferrari, the cost cap in F1 realised they couldn't win as much now with less development. With the extra money, they went back to WEC and GT racing, and it's been a huge success. Well, Ferrari is more than just money for them. Ferrari's issues are the fact that there's been too much upper management input. They have been managed by the higher-ups. Ferrari has a massive... Giving Twitch some love, James. Good to see you, mate. I'm interested to see, actually, if I go into my multi-stream chat, that's not working for some reason. Oh, it is working. It is working. Multi-stream chat. Why do I have to flick between the two, though? That is rather annoying. That is rather annoying. I should be able to see both come through. But, going back to Ferrari, yes, they've had too much. There's been too much pressure for the higher ups and too much tinkering. But they're more afraid to lose than they are to like win, if you know what I mean. They're more afraid of the cock-ups they make, which ultimately makes them cock up more. And they've just had too much input from the higher ups. Where they need to just be let them be. Let them be, basically. That's what they've done with the World Endurance Championship team. Is that they've just let them be, hired the right people, and let them crack on. And F1, they haven't really allowed them to do. They haven't done that because there's a lot of media hype around them. The teams, the media back in Italy is like proper on Ferrari. So yeah, it's I mean, Fred Vasseur now coming in, taking over from Bonotto. We should start to see the changes that he's made come to fruition in regards to personnel changes due to kind of direction, development, etc. So we'll see how they crack on. Remember Mark Webber saying something along those lines. If Ferrari moved to England, they would do better. Well, they would. So there's also this element as well, guys. People forget that with Ferrari being based in England, not in England, being based in Italy, they're almost what's the right word? They're alienating themselves from a lot of the smartest minds in F1. Now, a lot of the smartest minds in F1, whether people like it or not, or whatever, they're English speaking. They can speak English, whether it be first language, second language, third language. Like, they know how to speak English. And with the majority of the F1 teams, I think it's seven of the F1 teams are based in the UK now, maybe 8. I think it's only Ferrari and AlphaTauri that aren't based in the UK. I think even AlphaTauri might be moving to the UK. I think they closed up their operations in Italy. Could be wrong there. I don't know. I think I heard something like that. But basically what that does is that when you're trying to recruit people who, one, have grown up in, like, they've grown up in England, at least spent a proportion of their life in England. You're asking them to move to a different country. You're then also asking them to move to a team where, whether you call it ignorant or not, to learn a different language later on in life, where they're moving to a team where the first language is Italian. And that is, with people who have got families, with people who have got commitments, the guys don't want to do that. A lot of the F1 engineers don't want to do that. So they have to look. So that basically like narrows their recruitment pool, the quality of their recruitment pool as well. And they have to focus on spending more money to get these guys over, or to look at people who want to speak, who primarily speak Italian. So your pool of experts you can recruit from get smaller and smaller and smaller, whereas the likes of Aston Martin, the likes of Mercedes and Red Bull, who are all based in England, can convince people to come to them, because they don't have to uproot their whole lives to, one, speak another language, or to move to a different country to work. So yeah, Ferrari moving to England, I think, would massively benefit them. But respect to them, they're an Italian team. Enzo was an Italian. Enzo Ferrari was Italian, and obviously there's the roots there, the tradition, and they don't want to move, and you respect that. But obviously with that comes its challenges. He said the culture in England is more clinical. Sauber and Ferrari are over there. Ah, okay, yeah. I forgot about Alfa. Alfa Romeo, technically Sauber, isn't it? I think AlphaTauri recently moved. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to check this. I think Red Bull said, you need to move to the UK. Because you're the sister team, they were like, no, you've been performing so poorly. We want you to move to the UK now. I could be wrong. Move to UK. The AlphaTauri Formula 1 team is expanding its technical office in the United Kingdom, as well as preparing for a rebranding that will be defined by a new title sponsors. So yes, they basically, because of operational costs and because obviously they've got their own engine, like they're creating their own engines now and stuff, Yeah. For productivity reasons, it just makes sense for them to be moved over to the UK. So, yeah. My dad has always said that's it's been politics in Ferrari. Yeah, of course it has. Yeah, massively. Manchester, Bitchester in UK, seeing job adverts. Fair enough, James. Fair enough. Yeah. So, let's have a look at some time, shall we? We're halfway through this hour-long practice-free session. So, Max in P1 to be expected, 2 tenths faster than George Russell. On 9-lap old softs. Russell has used 2 sets of softs. He's kind of done a quali run and a longer stint on the soft. Perez up there slightly slower than Russell. Ricciardo, interestingly, up there in 4th. So the fact Ricciardo's up there on a set of mediums in 4th place means obviously no one's, apart from maybe Max and George, no one's really showing their true hand. Hamilton on a set of softs, setting only 7 tenths slower than Verstappen and half a second slower than his teammate, indicates he's probably running more fuel. Same as Leclerc and Sainz. Although, remember, the Ferrari struggled here last year due to the size of their turbos. Mexico is a very unique circuit, guys, where it's got a very high altitude. There's not as much air for the engines and the turbos to use to run as efficiently. So you hear a lot of, you'll probably hear tomorrow, once again, difficulties in cooling down temperatures of the engine and the brakes because of there's not as much air. So the Ferraris, I wonder if they've been able to sort that issue out this year. But last year they had quite a small turbo, and because of that, it couldn't cool down, and they just weren't able. It wasn't able to run efficiently, and they weren't able to run the engine kind of as at maximum compared to the likes of Mercedes and Red Bull. So it'd be interesting to see if they've fixed that issue for this year. 6th and 7th at the moment doesn't really indicate that, but I suspect that's more due to higher fuel. But we'll see, Heritage and traditions, yeah. I mean, you have to respect them for it. You do. You have to respect that they want to... Like, as well, they're so ingrained in that part of Italy, Ferrari. If they were to up and move to the UK, one, imagine what that would do for the PR perspective, for the media. They'd get absolutely shat on by the Italian media. 2, there'd be an absolute think how many jobs would be lost. I suppose they'd give opportunities for people to move over to the UK, but a lot of people will probably lose their jobs, so there'd be unemployment of that area and a loss of money as well to the area that Ferrari is based in at the moment because of F1. That's not to say that they would just up and leave entirely, but if they were to move the manufacturing of their car over to the UK, just overall, they're too ingrained in Italy now and in that area that any move for them would almost be career suicide, really. I just don't think it would be allowed to happen. And Ferrari is such a synonymous name across the world. It'd be so poor. By the way, Carlos Sainz is on his 5th set of soft tyres. How many tyres has he got to use this weekend on the softs? Is he going to have any left for qualifying? 5 sets? What the hell? That is interesting. Obviously, don't see it being a viable option for the race. Normally, it isn't the soft tyre, unless we have very cool track conditions. I mean, the track is already up to 45.1 degrees Celsius, so unless we get low 30s, the soft isn't going to be a viable option for this weekend. My dad was watching F1 in '98, so he's been a long time fan with lots of knowledge. Oh, the Ferrari porpoising. What's everyone's opinions on this circuit as well? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Monaco size wins, Monza level downfalls. He's Enzo Ferrari, not Eric Ferrari. Exactly. I really don't like this. I'm multi-streaming and I'm having to switch between 2 different streams, like chats. Why is it not like an all-in-one? Come on, Streamlabs. That's poor from them. I should be able to read both at the same time. But yeah, what's everyone's opinions on the Mexico circuit? I'll tell you straight up, I'm not a fan. I don't like it. Don't like it. It's boring. I think tomorrow's race is going to be boring. And the stadium section is boring, gimmicky. And I'll be glad to see it go once Sergio Perez retires. Because this circuit is not going to be here once Sergio goes. Nah. Too much DRS, needs more high-speed corners. Yeah, it's just... The problem is, so the stadium section actually ruins this whole circuit. This whole circuit, because this whole circuit is based around that main straight, as Ocon has gone deep. Ocon's gone deep into turn 1 and has brought out the yellow flag there. I assume he's just letting Sainz and Albon go past and has locked up down into T1. But yes, this circuit is all based around that start-finish straight, right? It's like they reach like the highest speeds due to the low altitude that they achieve all year. And obviously you want a decent last corner where people can stay close and they can make use of the DRS or make use of the toe and go side by side or overtake down into T1. The stadium section just totally disrupts that because we know that the cars are more affected by the dirty air this year and they're just not able to stay close through the stadium section. Whereas if they had the old section, which was basically turn 12 to turn 16 was one corner. Oh, imagine how good that would be. Imagine how good. A free-flowing, fast right-hander as Albon goes fastest. It is Albon. Albon for pole this weekend, guys. Albon for pole. Hey, Maltz, good to see you. I don't know why Sainz is using so many soft tyres, Timo. I really don't get that. That's just a bit bizarre. But the last section of his rank used to be a massive high-speed corner. Exactly, James. It would have made that long straight so much more better. We'd see such better racing down into T1. Whereas instead, they've gone, oh, let's chuck a massive stadium in there for the party atmosphere. And it's gimmicky. And actually, it ruins the circuit. Driving from the simulator is all right, but from a fan perspective, it's dog water. Yep, I agree. And then straight into T17. Yes, yeah, that's how it used to be. I mean, no one ever actually makes an overtake down into T12. No one ever really makes an overtake down into T4. Even with DRS. You never see I mean, at least people try to... I mean, I've seen a few lunges down into T6, but nothing really happens on this circuit unless it's down to T1. It's very similar to the Hungaroring, but the Hungaroring just provides so much more drama. Because I feel like that last corner at least helps to set up the overtake down into T1. And we see some side-by-side action. Whereas, yeah, coming out of T16, the amount of like oversteer that people get from the dirty air, just, they're on the back foot. Trackers, man, there's nothing special in it in terms of track design, Sepang and all. Yes. Yeah, the Nürburgring and Sepang and Malaysian circuit have been so much better. The Giga Mansell move, yeah, classic, absolutely classic. Bottas going fastest. So you've got the guys now coming out and doing their true qualifying runs, guys. Bottas in with a 1:18.4. So this is what we're about to see. Let's see what they can do. So keep an eye out on Russell. Russell is on his outlap on a brand new set of soft tyres. So let's see if he has his lap maybe interrupted by Zhou. No, Zhou is also going to be on a quali lap. So Zhou and Hamilton here on quali runs. Interesting. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out as Sainz is on a long run. Let's see if they go purple. I expect them to go faster than Albon, but how much faster will they go than Albon? Or is that Williams truly a rocket ship here this weekend? Of course, the Williams always does really well at low downforce circuits, high-speed circuits like Monza. So, yeah, let's see how much pace truly does the Williams have. So, Piastri is on a quali run at the moment. Purple in the first sector, green in the second, as he's heading through the stadium section. So, can he drag that McLaren to the top of the timing sheets? Of course, maybe still a little bit of sandbagging, a little bit of extra fuel in the car. And Piastri only goes P10, so I suspect maybe a little bit of, a little bit of sandbagging still from these guys, not taking fuel out of the car to do a proper quali run. So George is not green in the first sector. Let's see if he's green. If he's he is green in the first sector. He's not purple in the second sector either. So can he gain any time in that last sector compared to the Williams and make up time? As I said, we don't know what fuel they're running, but I mean, George has been pretty aggressive in this session, and he goes second, 3 tenths behind the Williams of Albon. Hamilton goes 6th. So I don't know. I mean, I think Albon's quick here. Was it Zandvoort? Zandvoort, they were sneakily quick. Where was the circuit they were sneakily quick? I think it was Zandvoort, and then there was one other circuit. Was it the one that was straight after? I think we could be seeing a similar type performance this weekend from the Williams, where they're like sneaky quick. I'm just trying to look. Yeah, I think it was just I think it was just Zandvoort where he did really well, wasn't it? I think. Even in the USA tracks with Vegas and Miami, I'd rather see Sebring and Indy instead. Yeah. I mean, Indy, it's never been a fan of Indy, to be honest. We're running this track in reverse be better, or would it be unsafe? It would be unsafe because of how long the start-finish straight is. You can't have a braking zone into turn 17. You need like a chicane, like with Monza, like with this, where it's a hard braking zone and you're going to a slow speed. If you're asking these drivers to go into turn 17 at 220 miles an hour, the amount of understeer potentially that they could get through turn 17, or most likely would get, is just, it just wouldn't work, especially with a big ass wall on the outside of the corner. So, but track temperature is increasing, 46.3 at the moment. But interesting. So Max is now out. Max is now on an outlap on a brand new set of soft tyres. So let's see what Max can do, as he's building a gap to Albon. He's going to let Sargent go through as well. Let's see what Max can do compared to Albon. Just watching Guanyu Zhou. Lots of guys are really cutting that corner into turn 2. The turn 2 chicane. There's a bollard there, but they're really cutting over. So we'll see if anyone hits that. Logan Sargent hit it yesterday. Would it be better as a street circuit? No. Oh, Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo here has just made... He's a fucking idiot. Is what Danny Ricciardo. On the next lap, we need to work on the brakes, please, where you can. Dano is coming now. I'm going to pick up some speed for the brakes. Who got in Danny? Okay, so Norris directly behind, likely to start another lap time, and then Zhou is opening the gap to him. Who did he call? Did he say anything else there? Hamilton on the radio. So Hamilton reporting, where did all the time go? And they just said it's through turn 4 and 5. So through the slowest section of the circuit, pretty much. So let's see Verstappen purple in the first sector, green in the second. Of course, expect him to convert this into the fastest lap of the session. How much quicker is he though? Only 0.70 seconds faster than Albon, guys. Have we got an Albono chance of pole position today or a top 3? I think we genuinely... I don't know. I mean, that's a 17.8. So to put it in perspective, guys, the pole position for last year was a 17... Was a 17.8? Yeah, it was. I think it was. I think it was a 17.8 because the Mercedes were a second and third with a 1.18.0. So, yeah. Well, that'll be interesting. The Williams very strong here. Where's Sargent? Sargent's 9th. So I mean, the Williams looks strong because even in Sargent's hands, it's doing okay. So I think we might be in for an interesting qualifying later on, guys. see what the Sky commentary team have got to say about Alex and Max. Albon is fastest in the second sector. So Max fastest in the first and the third, and Albon is fastest in the second sector. So yeah, Albon on a brand new set of tyres. Of course, we don't know fuel load. Was Max running more fuel? I don't know. But I think the fact that the Mercedes were both saying, where did we lose time? Like, they were genuine quali runs. I think we could see Bottas has looked a bit strong as well. He was up there in practice too. This is a circuit where you can get some outliers, as we said. The unique nature of it being a very high altitude, the fact of it, there's not too many corners that require specifically a lot of downforce. It's more about how you control the car and the brakes. Max stating he couldn't have had more traffic on that lap. Excuses, Max. Excuses. You're just slow. He's like, how is a Williams so close behind me? But yes, I think we could see some outliers. I mean, the Aston Martins are still struggling again, aren't they? Alonso and Stroll. I didn't read if Alonso's got the new parts this weekend. Stroll definitely probably still has. The Haas's are still struggling. Magnussen at the bottom there. Tsunoda not doing well compared to his teammate, Ricciardo. Although he is on a flying lap at the moment. He's about to come around the last corner and set a quali lap. So let's see what he sets compared to Danny Rick. Only just behind, so I take it back. Only just behind. 2 tenths between him and Danny Rick on their quali laps. So yeah, we'll see. And the Ferraris are on runs. Let's see how the Ferraris get on. Leclerc at 27.6. So he's only a tenth slower than Max into the first sector. But we'll see how much he's affected by the dirty air from Stroll and Magnussen in front, because I assume he will catch them. Same as Sainz. So it's not all relative with there being traffic, but it gives us a good kind of idea where some of these cars are at for quali. I loved how good Albon has been doing this year. Shows that he's more than a Red Bull reject. I agree. Yeah, I think he's really shown... He's really stepped up this year. He's really stepped up that he's like... Sorry, and last year as well. Was he at Williams last year? It's his second year at Williams, isn't it? Yeah, but he's clearly showing that he's knowledgeable. He knows how to help with development of the car because the car has improved over the year. Like that's not just down all to the engineers. That is partly down due to the drivers' feedback. The engineers need assistance in regards to how from the drivers in regards to how was that performing. There's only so much data that they can take as gospel. Ultimately, it's how the drivers feel comfortable in their car and how they feel pushing it to the limit and so forth. And having an experienced driver like Alex allows the team to kind of know if they're heading in the right direction or not. When you have a rookie driver like Logan, how much what is the feedback like that he's given them? Is it reliable? Is it concise? Is it detailed? And also, how much do they trust the data that he's giving back to them? Because Logan's crashed a car a lot this year. And I imagine the feedback, he's probably been kicking himself a lot in the teeth. A lot of that has been due to driver error, not due to failures in the car. So, yeah. I don't expect Logan to be there next year, to be honest with you. I'd be surprised. I think if he's there next year, it's because they've got a big cash injection from the American market. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Have I seen the World Destructors Championship card? I have, yes. Logan's at the top, isn't he? With like isn't he like at the top with like 2 million or something? £2 million worth of damage. So the Ferraris both had to pull out of their laps last time around due to traffic. Oh, Sainz actually spun it in the dirty air of the Aston Martin. I think that was Lance Stroll. Yeah, it was Stroll impeding Sainz. 3.9 mil now for Logan. Oh my God. Yeah, last time I saw it, it was like 2 mil. So that's gone up. But yeah, I mean, who will... Let's have a little bit of a guess as we've got a few minutes left of this practice session. Who do you think will take Logan's seat at Williams? Let's say they get rid of him. Who do you think will step in there? Do you think it'll be Perez if Perez leaves Red Bull? Do you think it'll be another junior driver? Do you think it'll be a more experienced driver? Jimmy probably. Who do you think it'll be? I really don't know. I don't know if they'd go for another F2 driver. I think they'd look for someone who's a bit more experienced. I mean, they've said they wouldn't go for Liam Lawson because Liam Lawson would be... They know it'd be a 1-year loan deal. And then it'd be gone. I suppose it depends on what they want from a second driver. But if I was Williams, I'd be wanting someone who's a bit more experienced. Someone who can be closer to Alex, for one. And have the potential to score points. Because Alex has shown this year that that car, at certain circuits, does have potential to score points. And they've been moving in the right direction. In regards to development and getting faster and making their way up the grid. And you'd want a more experienced driver like Alex who could do that for you. I just don't know who that would be. Who's out of a seat at the moment? Seb? Yes. Great shout. That is a great shout. I completely forgot about Sebastian. That is a great shout. Seb Vettel at Williams. Would he want to come back though? Would he want to come back to F1? I'd love to see him back in F1. But that's the type of driver you want. Who else is there? I don't know who else there is. No worries, Marlin. Yeah, we've only got a minute and a half left of this practice session. Albon now out on the mediums just to get some late data. Charles Leclerc getting held up by one of the Haases. Interestingly, though, guys, Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly are in the bottom three. And so is Alonso. Those guys are struggling. Oh my God. Kevin Magnussen's engineer. Getting on getting a bit sassy with Kevin. Oh, he was like, oh yeah, Charles was coming, I didn't see him. And he went, yeah, well, I did tell you he was coming, and then you asked me about something else, and I can't do it all at once. So, oh, okay. Calm down. Well, the Haases are very similar to like the Ferraris, aren't they? The Haases are they're probably worse than the Ferraris, actually. I'd say they're worse than the Ferraris now in regards to the tyre deg. Like, they're shocking. Seven Mick with rumoured to join a WC in the future. It could be possible. Maybe. The thing is about F1, and I think what will put Seb I think what will probably put Seb from coming back to F1 is the fact of that the calendar is just getting longer and longer. Like, there's not really a lot of time off in F1. And with all of like the gump that comes with it as well, the PR stuff, the advertisements, like all of that. He's got a big family now. Has he got 3 or 4 children? Like young children? I think he's got a minimum three children. The World Endurance Championship is what, like 7 races throughout the year? Like 7 or 8 races max. Like, it's under double figures. Of course, you've got testing in between that, but for him, that is a much more comfortable, relaxing, enjoyable experience to spread that career or that season over a year than F1 is. So for someone who's been there and done it all for 4 years, like won 4 world championships, has got how many amount of wins that he has, like, especially with the way that the World Endurance Championship is going to be one of the tastiest championships in the coming years, because there's so many manufacturers that are going to be involved in it now. It might be the place to be. Might be the place to be for him. And I can see it as a balancing act between family time and what he wants to do away from the racetrack compared to F1. F1's a completely different machine now. Like, we're approaching 25 races, aren't we? Half of the year being F1 races, as well as sprint races. You know damn well that the winter break is going to get shorter and shorter and stuff like that. Like, we're getting to the point where it'll almost be like F1's all year round soon. Seb can do it. He made his hairline magically reappear too. Yeah. Button, Buemi, NASA, Kobayashi and others all racing World Endurance Championship or IMSA. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, Seb's different though, because Seb's a lot younger than those. Like, he's still, what, 35? 36, I think Seb is. Let's have a quick look how old Seb is. Seb Vettel. He might be older than that, actually. He's 36. So in the grand scheme of things, he could still come back and do 5 more years in F1 if he wanted to, because he's that fit. If you look at Alonso and if you look at the age that Hamilton is going to be racing until. But as we said, like, that F1 seasons now, especially if you've got a family, as I imagine, like a very taxing. So whereas the World Endurance Championship is a bit more favourable, a bit more manageable, and probably enjoyable. So, but anywho, let's have a look at those last times, guys, of practice 3. So we have Verstappen in P1, as he has been in every single session. Are we going to see a Grand Slam from Max this weekend? He's on course for it. He just needs to qualify in pole, lead every single lap of the race, and of course win the race with fastest lap. There's definitely a potential there for him to do that this weekend. Albon, the surprising package this weekend. P2 for the second time this weekend in P3. Perez is P3. Russell P4. Piastri into P5 there. Bottas 6th. Interestingly for them, using a lot of their hard compound tyres. 3 sets that they've used. So maybe the Bottas, maybe they're seeing a soft and medium strategy for this weekend. Sonoda 7th, Norris 8th, Ricciardo up there in the top 10, which is good to see. Hamilton 10th, Sargent just missing out there. Zhou 12th, Leclerc and Sainz, the 2 Ferraris 13th and 15th. They had their qualifying runs interrupted by traffic, so maybe some penalties coming for Lance Stroll, maybe even the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. Stroll 14th, Hulkenberg 16th, Alonso 17th, Gasly 18th, Madison 19th, and Ocon 20th. So interestingly, the Alpines struggling there. I don't know if they did any qualifying runs though. So yeah, might be a bit of a false outlier there in regards to their true pace. But yes, that is it, guys. That is it. Let's be honest, he's been shit since 2019. He was. Last year, I would say we saw a return of, not peak Vettel, but we saw a return of what Vettel can do. It would have been interesting to see at the start of this season, if he had the car that Alonso had, what he would have been able to have made out of it. I think we would have seen a Vettel with podiums. It was almost like, because he knew he was coming to the ends of his career, like he confirmed he was retiring, he just upped his game. Like, that mindset changed. So when he was with Aston, when he joined Aston, like, you got to think like it wasn't, the team was nowhere near where it was at the start of this season. So yeah, I think he was just there for the ride, to be honest, and we all knew it was kind of going to come. No, I would say that. I would definitely say that with what we saw in the last few years, for sure. But it depends on what Williams would want. I mean, I'd like to see him back in F1. I would, but I'd also understand why he wouldn't want to come back to F1 and why he's retired at the time he has. So, yeah. But anywho, there we go, guys. There we go. That is the end of practice 3. Thank you for joining me. Not too much happened there. Of course, this circuit, not the most interesting in the world, but qualifying does seem to be a bit of an interesting one with Alex Albon there. Are we going to see a shock this evening? I don't think so. Max still for pole, but who is going to line up alongside him? That is the interesting factor here. So, yeah, have a lovely rest of your... have a lovely few hours, guys. We'll be back at, about 15 minutes before qualifying starts. Not half an hour. I don't think there's really too much to talk between now and then. So, yeah, we'll be back for qualifying. Be sure to turn those notifications on. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And, yeah, we'll be back in a few hours' time. So, yeah, have a lovely... have some nice dinner. Have some nice lunch, wherever you are in the world. And, yeah, we'll catch up with you then. Cheers, guys. Bye.